So finally, it's time to have a look at the new Necron data cards. This was delayed from my original order, and then of course we had Christmas and the New Year, so I'm only just getting around to making this video, but it is time, so let's have a look at the new Necron data cards. It's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, here we go. I am looking forward to having a closer look at these new data sheets for the new Necron Codex. Of course, we had the index cards for Necrons, and these are instantly smaller, which is interesting, but I think it's going to be good because, well, these can take up quite a bit of room on the table. However, it depends if the writing is going to be readable, especially for a slightly older person who wears glasses, like moi. Right, okay, so let's get these open. Now, I have to be honest, I have had a look at these already. However, what I have noticed is the box is quite difficult to open, and, well, especially if you don't want to damage it. So let's get it open, and obviously instantly we can see some very, very cool green, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called actually, but it's basically coloured green, shiny, sort of glossy green sides, which is cool. It does look cool, I must admit. And then we have the data cards, so let's physically get the other ones out. They are quite a bit smaller, which I think is a lot better. However, the writing isn't too small that you can't actually see it. So let's take a quick look. Interesting there. So we've got the Silent King is on two sides. Oh, now they're quite stuck together, probably because I haven't really had a look at them. Let's try to split them up a bit. Right. Okay, so we've got a few data cards with fronts and backs, but most of them are on one sheet, which is quite interesting. Probably just the way they've done some of the cards just needed a few extra details, like the Silent King. It looks like it's just the Silent King, the Overlord, the Command Barge. These are really stuck together. Obviously, once you've sort of taken them apart, they won't stick together anymore. It's probably the, I think it's called foil, isn't it? The foil on the sides that stuck them together. This is a really interesting video, Nick. I probably should have realised they were stuck together and just taken them apart first before I made this video. Try to get them to... Okay, so there's another one. Tomb Blades, double-sided. And I think that's it. I think the others are all split up. So yes, 3 cards with double sides, probably just because they have sort of more rules than maybe you could get on one card. But it's nice to have most of the rules on one side. It's just easier just to see what you're doing. I can see straight away that we've got the Combat Patrol data sheet in here, which is really, really good, because this might actually encourage me to play Combat Patrol, knowing that I've got the actual cards. I don't have to sort of download anything, they're just like instantly there. We've got the Army rule. I'm sorry if you can't see too much because of the reflection. My lights are pretty strong. We have the Army rule, the reanimation protocols, and then obviously the individual data cards. Now, one thing you don't get in here, which is very disappointing, is you don't get the stratagems and enhancements like you did in the index cards. Now, I can understand maybe why they've done that. Probably there's an argument that if you had them in here, then there'd be no reason to buy the codex. However, what I would like to have seen is maybe the stratagems and enhancement cards in the codex. So when you buy your codex, you have the cards. They're sort of, you know, the codex is foil wrapped, sealed. So they could have just had these maybe at the back, and then when you open it up, your cards come out. And then when you buy these cards, you can add those cards to it, and effectively only getting those cards if you buy the codex. I know that the rules are just basically on 2 pages for each detachment, so you could have your codex open on those rules, but it's just more space, and I just think it's a bit of a missed trick, because personally I find these cards really, really useful. I'll admit, when I had the index cards, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about them. I thought, is it just easier to have the codex and flick through the pages than having like 10 cards, you're flicking through the cards and you have them spread out everywhere? But having tried to play a game without the cards, definitely I like the cards a lot better. Now, because the other thing is, are the cards going to go out of date? And we know, yes, they're going to go out of date. Even the index cards. The index cards had mistakes in them to start with, and then of course they updated some of the rules, and then, you know, they were all out of date. However, what I was doing is just using post-its, just putting a little post-it on to change some of the stats. Still usable, and I really do like the cards, so I'm really happy that I've got them. And if they go out of date slightly, then I'll just do little post-its on there. Sometimes I'll actually do post-its myself just to highlight some of the rules. So rather than reading a whole paragraph here, then I'll just put a little post-it on there just saying no cover save, for example. Now, regarding mistakes on these cards compared to the codex, obviously I've only really just open them up, so I haven't had an in-depth look, but as far as I can tell, there aren't any mistakes on these cards to the codex. They all match up. However, if you've spotted some mistakes, then please let me know in the comment section below. So that is our cards. I said there's not too much to them. They are really cool. I like the fact that they are a lot smaller. For me, I think it's definitely a good investment, even though, yes, they might go out of date at some point, potentially fairly soon. We know there's going to be a new data slate out in January, and when that comes, of course, these might be out of date, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. I'm just going to post it. I mean, arguably, if you weren't a collector like I am, you could sort of ink stuff on there with pen. But I think post-its works quite well, and you could just take the post-its off and you have your cards undamaged to collect. So that's it for these data cards. I have done some reviews of the codex and ordered the new miniatures. I've even got a conversion miniature for the Translocation Overlord as well. So here are all those videos for you to check out next.